In today's video, we're going to follow the story of a type of player you just might know. This is the player who has a match history full of games that look exactly like this, and no matter how hard they carry, they just can't seem to win a game because their teammates just suck. In League of Legends, bad teammates like this are a common occurrence, especially when you play at lower ranks. Problems that a player like this faces is that they don't know how to play with these bad teammates. So today, we're going to look at exactly that. I'm going to teach you how to take more control over your games and how to mitigate the effect that bad teammates like this can have on those games. My name's Rogue and I played League of Legends professionally for 7 years. Now I'm a full-time content creator and coach for all ranks Iron through to Challenger. So if you want more information of what a coaching session with me will look like, you can find more information by following the link in the video description below. To understand why you're losing games to your teammates, you have to change the way you think about the game. Imagine there's an invisible line covering the entire map starting just in front of your towers. The moment your teammates cross this line, they're going to start searching for a way to int. The longer they spend past that line, the more likely they are to find it. But contrary to what you might think when considering this, you need to be more concerned about your teammates that are doing well than the teammates who are doing bad. In this clip, we'll be watching from the perspective of the Amumu player. And to set the stage, off the back of a nice gank bot lane, we end up getting our Kalista 2 kills. Now leaving her at 5 kills, and the strongest member in the game. So now that we've gotten this gank off, and we've got our AD carry super far ahead, one big thing that a lot of people fail to recognize is that this AD carry has just become even more of a liability. If you give a silver player a bunch of kills, they're still a silver player. And a silver player is going to make mistakes, and they're going to int. But the problem is now is that when this AD carry goes and ints, and makes that silver AD carry mistake, it's going to be a way more punishing death. So it's not just a random kill that gives over 300 gold, it's a random kill that gives over 300 gold, plus a bounty, which doubles the gold the enemy gets for the kill. But even more than that, it eliminates our win condition. Right now, we have a very clear path to success. We play around Kalista, and our plays are very likely to work. And if the enemy tries to counter them, they're just not going to win. We're just going to win the game playing around this Kalista. Now, our Amumu player decides to go play around topside, which, granted, isn't a terrible play. He has strong teammates and a Herald. Now, that Glade would probably be easier on bot lane because Kalista's so fed, but he decides to make the play up here anyway. And if you're playing in a high rank, these plays are fine. Your AD carry will probably recognize that they're on the weak side of the map and play safe. But you have to realize, it doesn't matter that this guy is fed, he's more of a liability and he's still a silver player. And so the first thing he does is he walks back to lane, and he hooks straight into a Thresh hook, he dies, he gives over a massive shutdown to the enemy AD carry as well as some tower plates, and now the enemy bot lane is somehow ahead, even though we put in so much work into helping him. Later on, Amumu goes on to repeat this same mistake, deciding to do a full clear of his jungle instead of protecting his fed teammates. And what do you think was the first thing Amumu's bot lane did upon getting back to lane? Well, they did this. Leaving fed teammates unattended once they're on the map is a recipe for disaster. Red team went on to win this game, solely for the reason that Nilah got so fed off the initial shutdown, which shows us just how much of a liability our teammates can be when we're ahead. In this next replay, we're going to be watching one of my own games played in Master Tier on EU West. And to set the scene, we have a very similar replay to that of the last game, starting off with a gank on bot lane that gets our AD carry ahead, forming her up as this great win condition we can use, but also a potential liability that we're going to have to protect. So now that I've gotten my Jinx ahead, I've created myself with a really good win condition. And if you just press tab and look at my team, I've got Sai on top lane, who I don't really want to play around, and I've got a 0-4 mid laner. So I only have one condition in this situation to win the game, and I can't afford to let my Jinx in. So watch how I play the rest of this game. So instantly, I come out of base, and I go and do one camp. And I'm okay to do this camp because Jinx isn't yet in lane, and there's no chance she can die because she's not even in front of her tower. But the moment she crosses that threshold, I instantly come here to cover her. And I need to babysit her. And luckily I do, because if I hadn't been here, who knows, maybe he would have died to this Zac gank. But instead, I'm able to trade back just a couple kills. Now I have time to go do my blue buff, since Jinx is just walking out of base, and there's no chance he can die. And immediately, Zac is back yet again. And if I hadn't been here, maybe Blitzcrank gets caught, and he just dies for nothing. But instead, I'm here to help out, and get Jinx even more kills, basically spoon-feeding her, and now she's at 5 kills. Now, I really need to take a recall, so quickly do Dragon while the enemy's dead, and instantly look for a base. And it's going to sync up very nicely here, because I'm going to recall at the exact same time as my AD carry. meaning we're going to walk out together at the same time. When I come off base, I run out, I do one camp, and immediately after doing this camp, I see my AD carry is about to walk into lane and start inting, so immediately again I run there. And it's almost like deja vu. My Blitzcrank again is inting, but we've salvaged the situation, and I've spoon-fed my Jinx even more kills. And if you look at it from his perspective, it's really hard for him to feed. Now when I come out of the map, I respawn, and I look at my map and I see my Jinx in danger, I don't have time to go do my top jungle, or even think about taking Herald. I need to instantly beeline there and cover for him. And in this situation, he actually just takes a recall and ended up pushing out his wave and covering the lane for him so that he doesn't lose any tower damage and he can take his recall now for free. Now while Jinx is running out of base, takes some time, but the moment I see him running towards Herald, I come and join him, and I take the fights and I protect him around this Herald. I end up picking up a bunch of kills and taking this. And now, I leave him unattended for a little bit of time, but I feel pretty safe to do so since most of the enemy team is dead, and he's all the way back here on our side of the map, completely safe. But again, the moment he crosses that line that I spoke about previously, where he gets past the center of the map and he's potentially going to int, I have to be here to babysit him. And again, we spoon feed him even more kills. Drop Herald with him. Now he's at 9 kills. And then there's just one final sequence that I want to go through that you'll see. We run out. We don't even have time to do a single camp because our Jinx is ready to int. And I think this moment right here encapsulates pretty well what I've been doing the entire game. There's no way for this Jinx to int. The moment that someone tries to go in, like this Zac has been doing all game, I'm there to save him. And if we just press tab right now and look at Jinx's score, you can see very easily this guy hasn't been able to feed. I've spent the whole game spoon feeding him because he's been my sole win condition. And because the enemy has contested me there, instead of Jinx dying and being a massive liability, I've got to fight with my strongest member, and now the game is just over. This is something you probably heard me say in other videos time and time again. Play through your strongest member. Not only are plays easier to execute and usually present a higher reward, but you're also protecting your win condition from a potentially catastrophic mistake. Like in this Gragas game we just watched. If my 0-4 mid laner dies again and becomes 0-5, nothing about the game state changes. But if my Jinx with 2 kills dies because I haven't protected him, suddenly we don't have a place to play around anymore. Even if I did go mid to try and help, it just wouldn't work. We're bound to lose that 2v2, which leaves us with only one option on how to help a losing lane. Win hard enough in a winning lane to compensate. This is a mistake that Zac made that I exploited in this game. Zac chose to gank bot lane and opt into fighting my strongest member, ultimately losing his team the game because of it. But importantly, this play would have worked if I didn't play fast. This was the second mistake that our Amumu player played from the first replay we saw. Amumu opted to do a full clear instead of protecting his lanes. If I'd done the same thing, any one of these ganks Zac did bot lane could have turned the game around. The key to winning with bad teammates is to play fast, skip farm, base fast, or skip bases altogether if you have to, but just try and be as active as possible since you're racing against the clock, and try to be active in a place where your teammates are strong so you can stop them from inting. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm in order to reach more people. Have a great day.